Well, trade deadline officially in the books. The Colorado Avalanche, I think the way E put it is that they swung, baby. They definitely swung on this one. We'll break it all down for you. After trading for Brock Nelson last night, the Avs add Charlie Coyle today, and then also Erik Johnson is returning to Colorado. Initial impressions on the trade deadline. Number one, how do you feel about what the Avs did today? And number two, how do you feel about the league as a whole?
Give it a.
I feel good about the changes that the Avs made. Erik Johnson's going to be a great locker room guy, and if you need to play him in a pinch, he's fine. And the cost of that deal I don't care one single bit about. The Coyle deal, tough price wise, but a good player for the role they're going to put him in. And look, if you wanted the Avs to get bigger and heavier, they did.
Big check on that.
That they checked that box really well.
E?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I was just no, sorry, because I forgot to put do not disturb on, and it just kind of knocked me out of the sound for a second. Yeah, I love it. I love what they did. Like you said, swung, do it all, address needs, and for me, I do believe that their word is probably character. You know what I mean? They went after character from Lindgren to Coyle to Brock Nelson. Again, I'm speaking out of turn a little bit about Brock Nelson. I'm not too sure. I'm assuming it's good. It's all character too. I just never heard either side of Brock Nelson, but I know that Lindgren, that's high character. I know Charlie Coyle, that's high character. I know Erik Johnson's high character. Erik Johnson's going to help them out in the dressing room, like AJ just said. He's going to help them out in calming things, on the plane, on the bus. It does get dicey. It does get rocky in the playoffs. It's a long ride. You're getting a guy in there that's not going to tiptoe. He's been around for 10 years with that core. You know what I mean? Whatever EJ's been around, 20 years, whatever. I don't remember. Apparently, that's the part of the trade that I was part of, and it was the worst trade in Avs history. Again, whatever. It is what it is. Again, that's that on the spot. That's how sometimes you got to wait years to look into it. And EJ is a character guy, and for me, that's what it just oozes. They have the talent. They have the best players in the world. They have the key ingredients in the net. They have, they needed to add some character. They needed to add some little sandpaper. They needed to down the trenches, and I do believe that they nailed it. And looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night now, more than ever.
Yeah, look, are the Avs a better team today than they were at this time yesterday? Yes, no doubt about it. Their NHL roster is better. Are they contenders? Did today do enough to make them legitimate contenders in your guys' eyes?
I mean, okay, we're going to throw all of they trade picks and prospects because those guys aren't on the NHL team and weren't going to be on the NHL team.
Not relevant to this cup
run.
So exactly.
Focusing on how the team is shaped right now versus what it was, I don't know, we'll say like a month ago. What is Colorado's biggest weakness on their roster?
60.
So a third pairing defenseman?
Maybe like third line wing.
Okay. So your ninth forward out of your top 9?
Yeah, you're 9, and you don't have problems with the ones below them. It's just the 9th forward slot.
Okay.
And then yeah.
What were the weaknesses 6 weeks ago?
Depth scoring in general, particularly down the middle.
Second line center, fourth line center. the same wing spots that you had the issue with. Defensive depth, they needed another defender.
Yep.
I mean, really. Check. Right? Like, yeah, they don't have like a who's the sixth defenseman right now? Sam Malinsky, Erik Johnson, Keaton Middleton. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know the answer to that, and that is absolutely the area that you look at the roster and you go, I'm not sold on this. Fair enough. You only have so much money, so that's fine, right? But you look at what they did. They fixed their goaltending. Okay, their goaltending has been rocking at a 920 and like giving up like 2.2 goals or something like that since they got these two guys in town. All right, their goaltending's been excellent. It's been excellent. Fix the goaltending. All right. Now, the other thing that you're worried about going into a postseason series, your center depth. It's one of the most important things that is consistent between cup winners over and over and over and over through all eras. You have to be good down the middle.
Yep.
Well, which of the teams that they're competing with, specifically Winnipeg and Dallas, is better at center than Colorado?
Neither, I would say.
Which of those teams got better today? Dallas
got better.
Absolutely did. Did Winnipeg get better with Luke Shen and Brandon Tanev?
Maybe
No.
marginally.
You're talking about min-maxing. They gave up 2 seconds and a fourth to min-max their third pairing and their third line.
Yep.
The biggest hole on their roster did not get addressed.
I would agree. And I do think the Avs deserve a lot of credit for that. Are there still minor holes in their lineup? Sure. But they addressed all the major ones for this cup run. If we're looking strictly at this cup run, they addressed their problems.
And for me, and I agree with you, like a ninth wing, I mean, whatever, a ninth forward on wing, absolutely. But I'd rather have that problem than saying I don't have a first line center. You know what I mean? Like I don't have the best player. Besides, maybe you can argue Connor McDavid, like at center. I don't have the best defenseman in the net. That's without a doubt the best defenseman in the National Hockey League, right? So those guys are. The Avalanche don't have that problem, and a lot of teams have that problem, and that's why I'd rather have a little hole maybe at the ninth forward as a wing, where there might be a little bit of a hole there. I agree. I'm not denying that. But then again, other teams don't have what the Avalanche have, which is the best forward in the National Hockey League and the best D in the National Hockey League.
I would take it even a step further. Yeah, sure. You have questions at the bottom of the Avs D-core. Is Dallas's D-core even as good as the Avs? You look at the right side of that Dallas D-core and go, that's rough, man. I think there's a pretty strong case that the Avs D-core is better. And I know they have some strong pieces at the top. Yeah, with no
Heiskanen, it's better.
Yep.
With Heiskanen, it's a toss. It's a conversation.
Yeah. Fair enough. So when you look at that and you get into this of, hey, look, sure, Dallas has a lot of firepower up front when they add Mikko Rantanen. No doubt about it. It's really, really hard to outscore your problems in the playoffs. Not impossible, but it's really, really hard.
Yeah, and I that's why I like what they did. I think they addressed needs. They did the best of their capabilities, like you said, with the money that they had, and there's an emotional card hidden somewhere with Gabe, right? Who knows? Whatever that is, right? So I think they're geared up really good. I think they got a locker room guy to make sure when things get heated, they do get heated in the playoff. The pressure gets to you. You got a guy that's been there before, that's been there with those guys. And when I say those guys, with the core, to be able to step in. And I don't care if EJ's even dressed. Don't worry. Even if he's not dressed, he'll be in the dressing room in between periods. You'll see. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot you can do. And if he's dressed, awesome. Awesome. You know what I mean? So they addressed a lot of needs today. I felt that they nailed it. And I understand the cost and everything. And I'm all for that. I'm not going to keep repeating myself on that. I get that. But then again, if you're not trying to go for it, you wouldn't be able to beat any one of those teams you just talked about in the first round because you wouldn't be adequate enough and you'd be wasting the core years of your core. You know what I mean? And that for me is dangerous to just stand pat and sit there. When you give the ability to those guys, they are champions. I'm talking about the elite guys, the cream of the cream, right? When you give them the ability to go out there and the help that they feel they need, don't worry, they've talked to those guys. What do you think we need? What do we need? They talk to the equipment staff. They talk to any good team does that. What do we need? What do you guys see? Are we too quiet? Not quiet. They talk to the coaches. You know what I mean? And it's important to try to go and hit everything you need. But again, they're going to be so appreciative, that core, that they were given that deadline to go and do and perform and add to their legacy, so to speak, right? You know, because that's what you play for. You play for to win. You don't play hockey because you want to finish second or not make the playoffs. Well, some guys do, but they're not here. They're not here in Colorado. It's a tough culture because it's about winning. We always say that. You can say you're about winning or you can be about winning. To me today, the Colorado Avalanche were about winning. And that, for me, is the stamp since day one that this team got into town from Quebec City. And it's about winning. And today was all about winning, or this past few weeks.
I love this because we can draw a direct comparison. Two teams that needed a second line center. Last year, the Jets went and gave up a first round pick for Sean Monahan. They went hard for it, right? It didn't work out. The Avs traded Bowen Byram for Casey Mittelstadt. This year, the Casey Mittelstadt thing started great and it ended super, super, super poorly.
Yep.
Like 16 points in 43 games poorly. So they instead of saying, hey, well, we could take our chance next year. He's only 26. You know, hopefully he just plays better. Hopefully it just gets better. I do wonder how much of watching them just flounder and magically hope that Alexander Georgiev was going to pick up his game, and they kept giving him that leash, and they gave it time, and it was only getting worse. How much that was like, we're not doing this with Mittelstadt. We have an opportunity right now. Our needs coincide with the needs of one of our direct competitors. We're going to be the team that's going to make this move. You could talk about it or you can be about it. And when Kevin Cheveldayoff does his press conference, he's talking about it. And when Chris McFarland does his press conference, he was being about it. And I think that is a major difference in the approaches between an organization that has won 3 Stanley Cups and an organization that won like an Avco Cup or some shit in 1978 or something. That's the only banner in that building. Like, give me a break. And that's you try and talk about, is this a serious organization or is it not? And that is a major difference for me right now. You look at those two approaches. You look at what Florida did. They saw what Tampa Bay did and said, all right, can't let that happen.
Yep.
Those teams, the Central Division has been an arms race. And 2 of those teams armed up at this deadline in Dallas and Colorado. And the other one chopped those arms about, just chopped them right off. They're just going into battle, going like this.
The armless Jets. I do want to continue the conversation on why the Avs targeted these guys, but we do have to pay some bills here first. We can jump in as we are brought to you by Timeline. Basically, what Timeline does is make sure your body is staying refreshed and healthy, and, you know, a bunch of anti-aging properties in there. You can get to timeline.com/DNVR today. You'll get 10% off your order of MitoPure. You can go get your MitoPure. Look, we've all been to, what is it, 7th grade science class? Mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. We all know that. No?
I don't know, man. I know the powerhouse of the cell because our entire generation is obsessed with it, but I don't know what year I learned it.
I mean, we all learned it from an Adam Sandler movie, let's be honest. But basically, what MitoPure does is it helps recharge your cells and helps your body's system to work better. So you can go get it today. It's shown to deliver double-digit increases in muscle strength and endurance without a change in exercise. So you don't have to change your routine. You just take this as a supplement, and you are increasing what your muscles are doing. Again, jump in right now. You can go to timeline.com/DNVR to get started. You get 10% off your order. That's timeline.com/DNVR today to get your MitoPure. Once you're all hooked up and feeling good with your muscles, make sure you also win yourself some money with the Colorado Lottery. They've got a new lottery scratcher of $5 for the Denver Nuggets scratch off, which has a grand prize of 50 grand. That'd be pretty nice. But they also have 25 prizes of 5280, repping that Mile High City with the 5280. You can win a ton of money. You can have a bunch of fun with it. Always a fun gift too. I know a bunch of my friends, you want to give your friend something fun, you give them a little scratch card. It's a fun way to play. Maybe win yourself something cool. Always good with it. The Avs cap situation might need a couple of scratcher wins at this point because it's pretty tight. Not that matters now. Your lineup is set, so you're good there. Go win yourself some money today with the Colorado Lottery. Again, go support the Nuggets too and get the new $5 Nuggets scratch off tickets available now. That's it. Colorado Lottery. Play on. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. One thing I specifically wanted to touch on here. For a significant portion of the season, how many post games have you and I done on an Avs loss where it's like, they played pretty well, but they just didn't finish. They couldn't score the goals that they needed, even if they created opportunities. Well, guess what? Brock Nelson's a goal scorer. Charlie Coyle's a goal scorer. You just added a ton of goal scoring down the middle. If you're talking about a mechanical problem with your lineup and their lack of finish, you went out and very specifically addressed that if you're the Colorado Avalanche over the last 24 hours. It's from that side of it, I think it's brilliant work for the Avs to recognize that problem and attempt to solve it. Obviously, we have to wait and see the results on the ice, how things work. But mechanically, it sure seems like that was something the Avs were trying to fix.
Oh, yeah. And you're right. I mean, many times this year where we're like, they didn't get that extra goal. And then all of a sudden, whoop, the other team got in and then, then took over. It's important to get that extra goal. And too many times they relied on the top line to do it. I mean, Nate leads the league in scoring. Kale got 6 points last night. No big deal. So what I'm saying is, too many times they went bagels, they went over for such a long period altogether. Now, with what you just said, I'm going to add this. Your top six is looking pretty fantabulous, if that's a word. Fantastic with fabulous, right? Fantabulous. And then, your bottom six starting to shape up, and maybe, yeah, I agree with you. Maybe looking, maybe a top nine winger that would have been, again, that's like home run, right? You know what I mean? So, but what I'm looking there is I see a little bit of competition. I like competition. You just said it, Miles Wood. Again, we don't know yesterday. I don't remember. I mean, assuming he was a healthy scratch yesterday, or whatever it was, or all the reasons, or maybe he was on the trade block. Who knows? I mean, that's they don't have to tell us. I get it. But all of a sudden, you got the cat, you got Jimmy, you got what's his name, Miles Wood. You got, Parker Kelly, obviously LOC, and and who knows with Gabe, like we talked about, we're not even gonna touch it. You know what I mean? Where does he fit? It's gotta be fitting in there somewhere if he ever, comes in and shows up. So I like competition. The both of you were touching on it too with Brock Nelson on the power play, for example. I love the competition, you know what I mean? Because all of a sudden it's like, hey, you know what I mean? Like, we all know the Avalanche on the first power play, how much time they take. And, again, does that change a little bit now? If all of a sudden you have like I mean, God, you have like Natushkin that's not even out there, and you know what I mean. Like when Lecky's out there, and then you have like Brock Nelsons of the world, and like, hold on a second, you know what I mean? Like, you know, we all know Ross Colton can play in the power play. We all know that he's had some success too. You know, I don't know. It brings a little competition. It brings a little bit of pushing each other. There's certainly a lot of elements now for their PK, as you guys were talking about earlier, right? I think Prater's in charge of PK, right? I believe, I think. You know, there's a lot of choices. There's a lot of choices, and if you don't want to be on top of it, then this guy's going to come be on top of it. We all know that's how you get extra ice, right? If you don't play special teams, you're not getting ice time. Ask Casey. You know what I mean? Like, right? How many times did he get 10 minutes? You know, there's no, 12 seconds of power play, no PK, and blah. You know what I mean? Like, so if you want extra cookie, you want to feel better about your game, then go and compete. And again, we all know about injuries. It's knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood, and that's what part of winning in the playoffs is, right? You got to be able to not get too, injured, and you got to be able to obviously get some luck, so to speak. Anywhere you create your own luck, but you got to be lucky to win. But I think they're built right now to win. And again, man, I'm sticking to my prediction. You know what I mean? Like I do believe, and that's a hunch since the start of the year. I do believe they come out of the West. I'm sticking to it. I feel really good with this team about going out there and go win a 7-game series. Right? You got to go in there in the trenches. You might not win 4 straight, but you built in there to go and win 4-3, 4-2, whatever it is. I'm talking about games. Win a series. The goaltending, you know what I mean? Like, did I like McKenzie's game yesterday? I didn't really like it. It was sloppy. Remember Rudo right off the bat? You're like, oh, I
Yep.
didn't like that shot. It looked like he was just not into it a little bit. That's okay. It's a long year. He's been dynamite since he's been there. Wedgwood's been dynamite. You're getting character guys in net now, guys that are involved in the bench, in the locker room. It's a world of difference. Now you added EJ. You're adding Charlie Carr. What do you hear this guy speak? He looks like a male model. That's like built like like a bodybuilder. And then this guy can speak. He can talk. You know what I mean? Brock Nelson. Again, I'm not familiar. What's that?
Nothing. Go ahead.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like Brock Nelson, I'm not too. I know his game. I'm not too familiar with, the way he speaks, the way he handles himself. I'm sure it's awesome. So you're all of a sudden you're adding some character, which is very important in a team sport. And I think they nailed it today. And I'm looking forward to the competition a little bit. Yeah, some guys might feel like, oh boy. I mean, if there's no injuries, I don't know where my ice time's gonna be, but then go fight for it. Go fight for it. That's where legends are born. You know, the cat. Is he going to become one of those guys that makes a name for himself? He scored a hat trick in the playoffs against the Avs back then in the bubble. The cat. The cat comes alive. Who knows, right? Go do it. Go perform, and make sure that you're the guy that you're called upon to tap in the back and let's get on the ice. But I like that there's a little bit of competition.
Well, if the Avs can get a playoff series against Michael Hutchinson in net, I'll feel pretty good about their chances to win the series. That's for sure.
Man, they're owed some of that.
Yeah,
I'm
a little
sorry, but
bit.
They just are.
Look, I think there's a couple of angles to this. Number one, we've talked a lot about the flexibility in the Avs lineup. Your centers are now hard slotted. 1, 2, 3, 4, McKinnon, Nelson, Coyle, Drury. Easy. You don't even have to think about it anymore. It's very straightforward. Even your wingers are not that complicated other than like, who are you rotating in as your 12th?
Can we just compare the centers real quick?
Yeah.
So you just McKinnon, Nelson, Coyle, and Drury, okay?
Yep.
Right now, Winnipeg centers 1 through 4 are Scheifele, Nemesnikov, Lowry, and Gustafsson. All right.
Oh.
Lowry was always kind of like their ace in the hole because he's a really good third line center, as a good defensive player with a big body, all that, blah, 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 blah. Charlie Coyle's going to do the same stuff. He's not as good at that as Adam Lowry is, but he's a better offensive player than Adam Lowry. So advantage Colorado, and what I feel is a big way. I mean, Brock Nelson versus Vlad Nemesnikov, girl, please. than in Dallas. That's the one that we're really worried about because that's the most likely first round opponent. Rupe Hintz, Matt Duchene, Wyatt Johnston, and I cannot Sam Steele. Oh my God, I'm like,
Yep.
totally blanked on his name. Sam Steele. That's a really good 1 through 4.
Yep.
But I
For
don't
sure.
know. I don't know that it is significantly better than what it was, than what Colorado has right now. Because,
They don't have McKinnon.
McKinnon's certainly better. Yeah.
well, because yeah, you go down that list and you say, all right, a couple of weeks ago, 48 hours ago, Rupe Hintz versus Nathan McKinnon, Colorado has the advantage.
Yep.
Versus Matt Duchene.
Yeah.
How we feel?
I mean,
do we want to just call it a push?
I'm good with that.
Wyatt Johnston and Charlie Coyle. I'm good with going Wyatt Johnston.
Yeah, Johnson
Sam Steele and
definitely
Jack
wins
Drury?
that one. Jack Drury, pretty easy for me on that one.
I also would say Jack Drury, but again, at worst, I feel like you're going push.
Yep.
So where's the advantage there? Yes, Wyatt Johnston is better than Charlie Coyle.
Yeah.
But the whole thing about the Dallas depth and how great that depth is and how they don't rely on one line and Colorado's a one-line team. At least on paper, it doesn't look like that's the case right now. Even with them adding, even with Dallas adding Mikko Rantanen to Jason Robertson and Rupe Hintz, which, oh my God.
I mean, so I'm expanding this out a little bit with Dallas, but where is Dallas legitimately better than Colorado? At wing? We already talked about the defense, how like at best for Dallas, it's a conversation on which team is better. The centers are at worst for Colorado a push with Dallas if they're not better. At goaltender, Mackenzie Blackwood has been at least as good as Jake Ottinger this year. So maybe Dallas has the advantage at wing now when you add in Mikko and you look down the depth of their wingers. But other than that, like, and I'm not saying the Avs are the better team by a wide margin, but at worst, you've shaped yourself up for a darn good series if these two teams go against each other.
So just to run through the wings here, focusing on Dallas real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Robertson, Rantanen, Marchment, Bork, Ben, Dodonov, Granlund. I'm not sure how that all shakes out 1 through 3.
Sure.
But those will be the wings, most of their wings. You can also throw in, those will be their wings.
Sure.
Because I'm not sure
how
like
the rest
Tyler
of the
Sagan, I'm not really
yeah,
sure where he
right.
fits into this. Like if he's going to be healthy, like I don't. Yeah. But those will be their wings. And in Colorado, you're Lehkonen, Netchis, Nichushkin, Drouin, Colton. It's solid, man. It's solid.
You honestly, you feel, I think Dallas probably has marginally better wing depth. Like, again, the Avs probably left a hole on their third line unless the Landeskog thing comes to fruition. But it's not like the Avs are getting punked in that territory.
Colorado's biggest problem has been availability of those wings because
and that's fair.
Netchis is a point per game player in Colorado. I'm going to ignore his Carolina tenure because what he's done in Colorado is what matters. He's been a point per game player. Arturi Lehkonen has 39 points in 51 games.
Yep.
Jonathan Drouin has 27 points in 30 games, and Val Nichushkin has 19 points in 25 games. Like, you're talking about the 82 game paces of these. All of these guys.
60-plus point guys, yeah.
Exactly. This, and then a Charlie Coyle, Ross Colton start to your third line. I'm just going to say, please rescue Logan O'Connor. Trying to be like the dad.
Give that guy some help.
Let LOC be that third line guy next to those two dudes, and you're going to be heavy. You're going to be fast.
Bingo.
And LOC won't have to be the best player on that line, which he was at times when he's played up in the lineup.
Yep.
He could finally be just go forecheck. Just go skate fast and forecheck and do what you do. You have some of the best defensive impacts in the entire NHL. Just go do what you do, guy. And your fourth line,
Jack Drury,
yeah.
pretty good fourth line center.
Well, and with Drury and Kiviranta and Parker Kelly and Miles Wood, like I can live with whatever
Vesey.
those that becomes.
Yep.
And Jimmy Vesey, I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
Yeah. Ivan,
The
Ivan,
Avs-
see if you need him. Ivan, if you
The
need
Avs
him.
have no shortage of good fourth line guys. But you know what every good fourth line needs? A nice cold Coors Light.
I got you.
Make sure that you're choosing chill, especially after a long, crazy, hectic trade deadline day like this. God knows I need to chill. Put it to you that way. I need a nice cold Coors Light. The mountains turn blue on the bottle or the can to let you know it's ice cold and ready to drink. You can get it delivered right to your front door thanks to CoorsLight.com/DNVR and Instacart. So make sure you're jumping in with that. Make your life easy. If you are out and about, of course, you can find it just about everywhere. Coors Light is the perfect beer for any occasion, whether you're watching a hockey game, whether you're having a barbecue, which it snowed today, so might be tough to barbecue. But, you can always throw some Coors back out in the snow. It's a outdoor fridge. I don't know what they call those. Anyway, make sure you're drinking it with Coors Light. Make sure you are choosing chill when the opportunity presents itself. Of course, Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Please drink responsibly. And once you've chosen chill, you got a nice ice cold Coors Light. You know what? You can also have some fun with Volo. Maybe you like a little beer league, whether it be softball or flag football or whatever it might be. Volo has your back. You can get the Volo Pass today for unlimited play with wherever your local Volos are. And of course, that includes tons and tons of different sports: soccer, volleyball, pickleball, kickball, basketball, cornhole, even more. For here in Colorado, you can play in Lodo, Rhino, Highland, City Park, Cherry Creek, South Broadway. They're everywhere, not just Colorado too. Pretty much every major city has a Volo chapter. So get with them, meet new people, make friends, and be social. Have a fun time and mix up your routine. Players can sign up as a free agent for team sports or as a small group or even a full team at all ability levels. You're welcome to join. Use code DNVR10 for $10 off for any Denver Volo League today. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. I think it's a good note that you guys are making. The Avs don't really have a forward depth problem at all. You have 4 or 5 guys you're perfectly happy to play on your fourth line. It's just that one spot on the third line that you would like to fill in a little bit better. And who's to say someone can't step up like an LOC and fill that role effectively for you? It's entirely possible. I do want to have this conversation just because I think it's important that we talk about it. Not trying to bring a downer on things, but the reality of this deadline day is the prices the Avs paid were a lot. Whether you think it's an overpay or not, whatever. I don't want to get into that conversation. My point is the Avs gave up a lot of assets to acquire the players they think they needed to go for it. So this is the mode you're in. You are fully committed as the Colorado Avalanche to go win right now. There is no bailouts anymore. You have jumped out of the plane.
Well, I'm going to add something, and just to show you guys that I do listen and I do work on my SAT words. And, Chris had a little press conference a few days ago, and he said, yeah, there's years you can go for it and give, assets and capital, like, pay a heavy price, but you can't do that in perpetuity. Here you go. See the SAT word? That's the exact word he used. And that's what I'm saying. There's years you just can't. You just can't. 2 years ago, they couldn't, because of the situation they're in. But when there's years that you can, gas pedal, you go on the gas pedal and you go, because I'll tell you one thing, you would not win if you don't do that. It's a boost of energy to your core. It's a boost of energy to your team. Yes, I understand. It's a heavy price, a first round pick. We all know that. But the Avalanche for years to come, McKinnon's still there, McCarr's still there, Lekkonen's still there. Like they're good for years to come. And it's important that you know how to use your capital. And I do believe that that's why I say that I agree with you. I mean, a first round pick, it's heavy. It just is, because that's how you build your team. Their team's built. It's already up. This is not the San Jose Sharks that they need those picks to build. And that team, the foundation, the brick, everything's there. They just needed to get in there and, you know what I mean, fix a little bit of the air conditioning and the heaters and all that kind of stuff. And that's what they did. And it costs you capital, it costs you money. It does cost you assets. But I love that they do it, and they do it consistently. And that's how you win, because if you don't do it, you can't win. No team's ever won by just not doing anything. You can't. And that's why I love it. I'm looking forward to it. And the key word that I just said was perpetuity.
Yeah, there's a timer on that clock. No doubt.
There is. You got to jump on the wagon.
Yep. It's
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a do both, plan for your future. You need to draft. The only reason that they're able to trade prospects away is because they use them on prospects on draft day. But I don't give a shit, dude. It's fine.
Neither does Kill McCarr.
I want to paint the picture. The Avs have no top 100 picks for the next 2 years. And they traded away arguably their top prospect. I think almost everyone would call him their top prospect, except for maybe like me and AJ.
Guliev?
Yeah, we're
Nabokov?
Guliev guys.
Honestly, it might be Nabokov, though.
Those two are good. You kept those two. That's huge.
And you did keep Guliev and Nabokov. You did keep two important pieces there.
That's important.
And so that is important to understand where the Avs stand, in that they don't have those assets. And this is less, I'm not worried about making the picks. You use those assets. You won't be able to use those assets in the future as part of another reload that you might be trying to do next year. That's more the angle that I'm getting at with it. And guess what? If you win, these were the cheapest prices in history. Nobody cares what you paid if you win. The only teams that care what they paid if they lose. And Erik is correct. If you don't pay to try and win, you won't win. So
nope, you won't.
The Avs paid the prices they had to pay to do the things they feel like are going to get them to win.
If Carolina wins, then they prove me wrong, because they went and got Mikko, and then they got picks back, and it's like, what? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Like, you lost Natchez and Drury. You replaced your lineup with Stankoven. Forget about the picks. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Like,
look, I'm the one who feels like the Avs overpaid. I'd much rather be the Avs overpaying than whatever Carolina did.
The Avs just sent out the Coyle trade press release.
Mm-hmm.
Second round pick is conditional?
Did they say
On
the condition?
Well,
does it become a third if they don't go?
Well, they don't have any thirds.
Yeah.
Or you got to remember, the one with Brock Nelson yesterday was in the third. It's only if you win the cup, and then if you don't win the cup, it's nothing.
Right.
So I don't know what this one is. You don't know what it is.
I mean, I'm not going to root for them to not win the cup just to keep the pick, but
of course not.
It'd be interesting to see. Yeah.
I'm just curious what that condition, because I understood the condition yesterday. That's an easy one, but
yeah,
I don't. Puckpedia has Shea Weber traded to Chicago Blackhawks.
That did happen. It did happen today.
Publicly, you're not gonna get crucified publicly in that market for that. Like, they're trying to help Bedard to go get Shea Weber's contract.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that condition is not something crazy.
Don't know.
But maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be meaningful.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was conditional, so I'm curious I just want to know what that condition would be, because we haven't heard anything about it until right now.
Are you usually? I'm not telling you what to do, but sometimes on TSN and the trade tracker, if you click on it, it tells you what the conditioning is.
No,
It's not there. It's not there.
I have not. It's not on Puckpedia. It's not on TSN.
So
Yeah.
it's
I
not.
haven't,
Oh, yeah, like
I haven't seen anyone tweet it.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
It's fine.
we'll get back to that if we figure out what it is.
Yeah. It'll be
Oh, that could be-
something that
could
we
be
can
big.
like. We'll just tap into, later on where it's like, oh hey, by the way. But I'm assuming that you're right, Eric, that it's if they win the cup and he plays the 50% of games, it's the same condition as the third from Brock Nelson.
Yeah.
So honestly, if they don't win the cup and they,
And they
don't
have to
convey
give
that
up.
second rounder,
That is a big deal. Yeah,
and you still have
that's a
Coyle
bullet to
signed for
reload
next
for
year.
sure. Yeah,
It gives them an asset that they can move this summer that they will need to.
Yep.
So anyway, I don't know. You guys keep saying it's the lower of the 2 second-round picks. They have 1 second-round pick this
they
year.
traded the other second.
Yeah,
also.
the other one is in New York after the Ryan Lindgren deal. So
Yeah. They have no seconds left.
Yeah.
It can't be the lower second.
yeah.
Um,
Anyway, I don't know what the condition is, but I just thought that was interesting because they just sent it out and it was the first time I'd heard about it. So interesting. Okay. I mean, we kind of accept that the prices are what they are. The full rundown, it is. So they dealt.
a first.
Sorry, yeah, they dealt. I'm trying to get them all. They dealt a first round pick, which essentially will be 2026.
Yep.
A second round pick from 2025.
Yep.
A second round pick from 2025.
Yep.
A fourth round pick from 2025.
Yep.
They dealt Cal Ritchie and Will Zellers.
And if things go really well, a third round pick.
And Casey Mittelstadt.
Yep.
And that's in exchange for Brock Nelson, Charlie Coyle, and Ryan Lindgren.
Yep. And they also traded Giovanni Smith for Erik Johnson.
Yeah. So on paper, it's a pretty hefty haul, but you also got 3, those are all proven NHL guys that you're not going, well, maybe someday he'll be pretty good.
They're good
those
now.
Are 3 guys those are 3 guys that help you right now. With Ryan Lindgren for me being the big question mark there. Just because he's been so bad in New York.
I think there's a few question marks on Charlie Coyle too, but not as many as on Lindgren for sure.
I don't really have Charlie Coyle's just been the same guy for such a long time that I'm like, well, he's still Charlie Coyle.
Yeah, but the Avs need him to
his game hasn't had any
bit.
of that deterioration that we've seen with a Lindgren. He's just kind of the same dude, and he's just sort of caught up in, he had 60 points last year. Obviously,
and he has
that was
22
silly.
this year.
Right, but everything has gone wrong in Boston, right? Everything.
I get it, but he does have to come here and be able to produce a little bit. I get it's
For
a
sure.
third line role and all of that, but
you still have to come and do the thing.
Yeah.
Slotted perfectly here. Perfect.
And then EJ thing's cool. The Avs gave up essentially nothing for it. Super good story. A super awesome guy in the locker room.
Giovanni Smith.
All good. All good. Yeah, nothing against the guy. They just need a contract swap, so it is what it is.
Also, the other big aspect of this, 3 new players.
Yep.
So players 45, 46, and 47 to appear for the Avs this year.
Yep.
Little disappointed. We're not going to get to 50. I'm not trying to curse anything. I'm just saying.
All right, who's a black ace they could sign?
Well, I mean, call up. You're allowed 4 call ups.
Yeah. Emergency recalls for injury is most likely the way that the Avs would have to go. So,
all right. Nabokov comes over early. Wedgwood gets day-to-day again.
No, the kid from the McDermott trade, Bardakov.
There you go. Bardakov could come over.
He also comes over early. Let's go. Let's go. We'll do one shot
McDonald
for
gets
every
called
player
up.
if they get to 50.
It's done.
McDonald gets called up.
I do want to widen the scope a little bit here. Obviously, the focus today is on deadline day itself, but with the moves made in the last 24 hours, it is 10 trades this year for McFarland. If you don't want to count preseason, 9.
What was in preseason?
The Brandstrom
Brandstrom.
deal.
True. But that's part of this season in my book, but
I agree. That's what, 10.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's why I'm tired of writing trade stories, dude.
There's been 10 of them now.
Love
I know that we've talked about the cost of these things. Sorry, I just see chats talking about it, but also the expectation is right now all but Nelson are likely to be back next year. I know Lindgren is a UFA, but the Avs they really like that guy and they're going to do what they can to keep him.
As long as the number's reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, and assuming that he doesn't also just like
fall off a cliff. Yeah.
Yeah, like play absolutely terribly. I think they're going to try and keep him. Nelson would be the only one of these guys that I have a serious question about him returning next season. So it's not like it's all for this is it, you know?
Yeah.
It's not just the 19 games and then we're good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I agree.
I just wanted to.
It's a fair point. There's a reason that Coyle has a little bit of extra value because of that extra year on his deal. There's he's also getting paid a lot of money, but not a conversation we're going to have at this exact moment. The Avs also, again, expanding it further than today. You extended Mackenzie Blackwood. You've set up that part of your goaltending for you're committed, I guess I should say, to that part of your goaltending as a guy that you believe is your guy back there. There's always going to be moving pieces every single year, but this really feels like the Avs front office moved heaven and earth to recreate this Avs team around their obviously elite core.
Yeah.
I think you owe it to your core. You do. And I think they're grateful too. They're good people too. We're talking about character. Kale, Nate, those are character guys. You know what I mean? Devon Tays, all character guys, all guys that have won. And I think they've won, they've signed big contracts or whatever, and they're still performing, right? You know what I mean? And they've not sat on their contract or, say, oh, I'm all good. You know what I mean? So I think that's what a relationship is, right? You gotta, give and take, right? And I do believe that's what he's done. And again, I said it yesterday on the show, Joe, Peter, all those guys, if you go back to Avs 1.0, it was, hey, Pierre gave us the chance to win. And that's all you can ask as a player, the chance to win. There's nothing worse than going in there. It's all good, like the underdog. Hey, we're the underdog. You know what I mean? Like, but how many times does that work? I mean, we're still talking about Miracle on Ice. Why? Because it never really happens, right? You know what I mean? So, right, that's reality. So I think the ability to give your team a chance to win and not sit on your hands and wait is what, for me, is key for this deadline again. You know what I mean? And forget about the rest. You know what I mean? And I'm loving it. I'm loving it for all those reasons, and I'm looking forward. Like, I'm so pumped for the game tomorrow night. You know what I mean? I'm so pumped. AJ's pumped too because he wants, he's hoping to see Scott Lawton. Probably won't happen because of immigration purposes. But AJ's guy, is finally a Leaf. You know what I mean? Scott Lawton. So, no, I'm kidding. But I'm excited for the game tomorrow. I'm excited for the competition that it brings, for the business-like attitude. They're 4-0 in their last 4 games. They're rolling. They're rolling right now. Yeah, after St. Louis, we wanted to, oh my God, run for our lives. You know what I mean? We were so like, oh my God. And I remember, I said it like, oh my God, there's a lot of red flags now. You know what I mean? I do believe they need to do something. That was more than something this past week or so. It was more than something. I think it's I think it's awesome how they
I-
fixed that center position on the fly. Like, that is awesome.
I mean, this is it. There's no more. Oh, well, what about the next guy? What are we going to? This is it. The Avs have built their team, and it will be their team for the next 1.5 to 3 months. Hopefully closer to that 3. The only thing left to do is for them to go out and give it their all.
I think that's my excitement now is like, I'm excited about the center depth. I think the team looks really solid, really competitive, but I'm also so excited to stop talking about this nonsense and that we just get to say, all right, this is the team.
Yep.
No.
Now it's time to go win games or to not win games.
Yep.
That's it, man. I mean, let the 7-game series to decide. On paper it looks like this. Oh, on paper it looks like that. Great. They're going to go decide it on the ice, and they just went and got some dudes to do that. I saw somebody in chat say that earlier in the season it felt like this Avs team was a bunch of schoolboys, and now they've kind of loaded up on some bullies, and I think that's not a bad way to look at it. Brock Nelson and Charlie Coyle mean business. Those are not easy guys to play against. Ryan Lindgren is absolutely not an easy guy to play against.
Angry Josh is not.
Yeah, like you've got some
snarl.
Yeah, you have some sandpaper, you have some size, you really have a lot of good elements here to be multi-dimensional. I keep harping on the center depth because it's such a big deal, but if you compare it to the cup winning team, which was McKinnon, Kadri, Compher, Darren Helm / Nico Sturm, they were kind of interchangeable at points. I feel like this compares favorably to that.
I mean, the only difference is Brock Nelson isn't having a ridiculous career year.
Yeah.
But has done it, right? Kadri, like, he had a great year, but then a couple years before he had what, like 40 points or whatever. A couple times he had some bad seasons. I'm just saying.
I mean, it's a 3C at that point, but yeah.
Yeah, he scored 30 goals. I mean, Nelson a few times, right? So it's like he's not just a pushover. You know what I mean? So
Nelson is coming off of 3 straight 30-goal seasons. It's not like, oh, he scored 30 goals that one time 5 years ago. He's done it the last 3 years. Probably won't get there this year, but I mean, he has 10 goals. Can he score 10 goals in 19 games? He could. My fantasy team hopes he does, but unlikely. But still, like, I mean, that's the guy can play.
Yep.
Again, number 1 trade target on many boards, right? Like across the nation and in Canada. He was the number 1 trade target for all those shows, right? Those hockey shows. A lot of them. I'm not saying every show. I'm saying a lot of them. So,
and when we made our trade board, we had him at 6 entirely because of the UFA part, and it had nothing to do with the quality of player. He's very clearly a much better player than Jake Evans and Yanni Gourde.
Oh, yes. It was just us for preference.
I think I would say Gourde's close. Not that he's as good, but close. He's pretty definitively better than Evans.
To Brock Nelson?
Yeah, I don't think Yanni Gourde's that far off of a caliber of player as Brock Nelson.
A little different types.
I would agree. Obviously, Gourde not scoring as many goals, but no.
Okay. We're going to disagree.
That's fine. Doesn't matter now because the Avs have Brock Nelson.
Yeah, that's
true. The other thing here, and like, obviously the Avs care about these last 18, 19 games. But at the end of the day, what's going to matter is how these guys perform in the playoffs. If Brock Nelson shows up and rips goals home in the playoffs, the Avs are probably going to go pretty far. If Charlie Coyle can come in and help shut some guys down and play a solid 2-way game, add some goal scoring to the Avs depth, the Avs are probably going to go pretty far. If Ryan Lindgren can blow dudes up in the playoffs, it's going to be a hard team to play against. All of the additions the Avs have made at the end of the day, yes, you have to make the playoffs. Yeah. Sure, you want home ice or whatever, even though the Avs can't really get that. The Avs are
2 conversations that are kind of settled territory for Colorado.
Yeah, right.
They're going to make the playoffs. They're not going to have home ice.
Right. And the conversation for the Avs has always been about April to June. They went out and got players that they think they can win with in April, in May, and in June.
You're judged by the answer to the question. Did you win your last game? If the answer is yes, then it was successful. If the answer is no, then you weren't. This is where the Avalanche are. This is not Utah Hockey Club or the people in different places. Did you win the last game you played? If the answer is yes, then everything worked out. If it's not, then all right, you got to try to do it again. And that's how it works.
There's like 14 to 15 teams every year that could win their last game and be eliminated from the playoffs, technically.
Sorry, yes. Sorry, if it's in June, you know what I mean? Like,
now, if you
April,
win,
that doesn't
did you
count.
win the last game, not your
Did
last
you win
game?
the last game on the schedule of the National Hockey League? There you go. That's better said.
There we go. I got to be a pedantic dick today. We're good.
Did you get to win the game that makes everybody thank you at the draft? Congratulate you. Sorry, congratulate you at the draft.
That's what we used to say at the draft. You don't want to be at the front tables. You wanted to be in the back. If you were in the back, it was awesome. Front, that means you stunk. You know what I mean?
Now the Avs don't even need a table.
We do have 2 super chats to get to here quickly. $5 from Melanie, who says, thank you for your coverage and insight. I appreciate it. Let's go Avs. Take care. Appreciate you, Melanie. And then $5 from Oliver, who says, all gas, no break. We don't have time to wait for those picks prospects to develop. If they ever do. All in. Can't ask for anything else. Cheers, guys.
Fair enough.
I love it.
Now go win.
Just saying, you can't turn around and then be mad when the Avs don't have any young players that are pushing to join the system in the next couple of years.
Correct.
I have no problem with this philosophy.
Yep.
You just can't
have it both
turn
ways.
around and be like, well, they can't get anybody on ELCs. Yeah.
Wonder why.
Obviously.
But if you don't do it, you'll never win. Lekkonen. Right? All right. You got to do it.
Yeah. Hopefully it works.
Yeah.
It's where the Avs are at. It's what they're committed to. And look, you cannot hate betting on trying to build a good team around Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar. You got those 2 dudes, you got a chance.
Yep. 100%. 100%. That's why they understood the assignment. They did. Avalanche understood.
That's all I got. Any final thoughts from you guys?
Yeah, I'm gonna go write a bunch.
Yeah.
Thankfully, 10 trades. No more trade stories for the rest of this. The rest of this.
Be
season.
done with them.
Yeah, we're done, baby.
All right.
5 o'clock game tomorrow.
5 o'clock game. No morning skate. So you will see us for pregame at 4:30. Beyond that, yeah, it's been a day. It's been a wild roller coaster. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope y'all liked our content. If you want more pressers from guys like Brock Nelson, C-Max presser, all of that stuff is up on our YouTube. Well, I don't know if all of it's up, but some of it's up on our YouTube, and anything that isn't up will be up shortly on our YouTube channel. So you can go check out what some of the Avs players and the Avs front office staff had to say about deadline day. We appreciate y'all. A ton of you hung out with us. We had like 1.3K on the Watch and Chill show. That was awesome. A bunch of you here in chat right now. Tons of support. Always awesome. We will be back tomorrow. Love you. Bye. The DNVR app.
We all silly like the mayor.